knows are trying to do, which is the responsible thing, not targeting civilian areas, but in a way, in Gaza, all areas are civilian areas. Does Israel have any more evidence besides this video in terms of what happened there on the ground? Because they're suggesting that they don't know what ordinance killed these people, whether it was theirs or whether it was ordinance belonging to Hamas.
Well, I think they've been very, very clear that they do not believe it was an ordinance that killed people, but then made a distinction that they thought that it may have injured people. How they can tell from that vantage point whether some shrapnel injured someone or killed someone, we do not know. It is very hard to see exactly what happened. Now, you can see above Beit Hanun, you were looking at that video from the IDF that they shared with the media, and you will see in just a moment on the top right corner of your screen a puff of black, what appears to be smoke, but it's actually from the dirt, from the impact of that mortar. And so you're seeing that now and seeing that mortar hitting the courtyard of the school. Now, what Israel says is the courtyard of the school was empty at the time. That is what their inquiry has found, and that no one was killed because of their mortar, but could have been injured. That leaves a lot of questions. I asked the Israeli spokesperson for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, who you just heard from, Mark Reagan, about that. How did you tell from that vantage point? And he said there's a lot more to be known. So he also made clear, live here on CNN, that indeed the inquiry may not be over, that these things tend to take quite a long time, and you have to look at all the evidence. So far, this is the only evidence that has been shared publicly. We do not know if there is other evidence that Israel had. We do know that they said that there were some rockets that were fired within the vicinity, not from the school itself, to be clear, but the vicinity of the school. We have not yet seen evidence of that video, but we do know that the area was a very hot spot during that day. We also know it happened somewhere around 2:55 in the afternoon when it would have been extremely warm in Gaza, but again, hard to tell exactly what happened. Just from looking at that very short, about 10-second, 14-second video that was given out to the media just a few hours ago.
And what about, the suggestion though is that Israel says we made a mistake, but the fact that they're not owning up to the possibility that someone was hurt, it doesn't necessarily suggest that there's some sort of ultimate conspiracy here. And in a way, by going through all those details, that is what I think people are left with.
Well, folks at the UN school said, look, they do know the coordinates of each and every UN school and UN area that is supposed to be a safe haven, and they complained that they wanted to be able to evacuate that if necessary because the fighting was so intense, and they did not get any word back on that particular request that day and in the day prior. What we can tell you is Israel has said that it is possible that there were people injured, basically from the shrapnel. If you look at when it hits, you can see the shrapnel kind of blow out more to the left than it did to the right. And to the left, you can see some of the school, you can see a school building there, a structure there, where there could have been, for example, if no one in the courtyard, children and families standing just underneath that structure or playing just underneath that structure. But again, we cannot tell ourselves from looking at that video. But Israel has said that it is not in its intention and never has purposely targeted any place that is supposed to be considered a safe haven, and that includes UN facilities. They are very clear on that, and they do have the coordinates.